Okay, well here is a blast from the past. Remember about a year and a half ago we installed a residential toilet in this high quality Grand Design Solitude fifth wheel? Naturally, there's nothing wrong with the toilet. That shark bite push-on fitting that everybody said was going to leak isn't leaking. I've had no problem with the toilet at all. In fact, the owner is very happy with this toilet. The problem is with Grand Design's faucet choice. You'll notice it has some high-tech repair up there, which is black duct tape and what looks to be iron rust underneath the handle there. The owner went to go use her faucet one day, turned it on, and water was shooting out of the seam of the spigot onto the shower door right there. And they noticed a lot of rust coming out of the fixture too when they turned it on. You can see that right there. So it would seem this high quality designer faucet uses a lot of iron in it. So naturally today we're going to go ahead and upgrade this faucet to a high quality residential fixture, not unlike this toilet. There's going to be a price fixture, which is something I'm trying to point out in all these videos, is that even though it's an RV, you don't have to limit yourself to low quality RV fixtures. You can go with some high quality residential fixtures. This is a house. Now currently the biggest problem in making this transition, this fixture is using what is almost the RV industry standard of the 1/2 inch pipe thread. And so that should make this job incredibly simple, except that Grand Design used the flexible braided hoses, and this fixture has the built-in braided hoses up to it. And those lines right there are not long enough to make it to the new fixture. Now the easiest thing for me to do, because they do have a female fitting right there on that flexible hose, is to just get a 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch nipple, connect it to a 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch flexible hose to the faucet here, and then just go ahead and connect the nipple down there and call it good. The even easier way would have been to find one of these braided flexible hoses with a female end on one side and a male end on the other side, but I couldn't find one of those. But you know, if I'm making a video, we're not going to do it the easy way. We're going to do it in a way that gives us a little bit more flexibility down the road. So what I've decided to do is add some functionality with shut-off valves, which have the crimp fitting, which go to the red and blue flexible line down there. It has a 3/8 compression fitting on the other side, which will link up to this 3/8 compression fitting side of this hose. And then the other end of it will go straight to the faucet. For hot and cold, we'll have shut-off valves right there under the sink, just like we would on a normal house. Now I know what a lot of people will say, that flexible, crimpable, braided line that the factory used for plumbing is the wrong application. And I agree with you, but I'm not going to re-plumb the entire bathroom over here because they're not long enough. And I don't want to take the basement apart. But I do want to prove that these hoses right there will work as long as you do everything correctly. So the first thing we're going to do is turn off the water, open up the low point drains, relieve all the pressure on the ground out here. That way we don't have to deal with any water up to this point and down to this point, because the low point drains are even lower than that. Get everything out of the way. Empty this down here. I think they need some more chemicals. I'm going to go ahead and take the door off. We'll do the simple thing. Got the zip tie loose right there. And we'll go ahead and undo those fittings. Looks like it's 11/16. Now, in Grand Design's favor, even though we don't like this flexible hose, they did use real brass metal fittings on here instead of plastic ones, so I'll give them a thumbs up for that one. Now, it looks to me like I'm going to have to use a basin wrench, which is one of my least favorite wrenches to use to get access to this. Oh my gosh. We got it. Alright, I'm hoping that was the hardest part of the job. Hardest part of the job. I think we can see that it's about ready to start leaking on both sides here. It's a pretty low quality faucet, and it looks like a high quality one too. Now I'm cheating the system here. There's no reason for me to worry about that barb connection, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off. Now we can see it's really just a garden hose that has a crimp-on connection. Now if you were inclined to save this fitting, you can use a pair of diagonal cutters that are good quality, or you can get the right tool. There's a little bit of a bent tab right there. I normally just use diagonal cutters. Alright, so now it's bent straight. Now you just get the edge of the band. So you got an edge on it just like that. And then you should be able to peel it away, because that one crimp or bent over tab was straight. And now we can just open up the band, that stainless steel band. And usually the crimp holds pretty well underneath. Sometimes I'll score the tubing, but you don't want to score past it into the barb section right there. So hopefully you can see it's the same 1/2" crimp adapter that you use for the PEX tubing normally. So we're just going to get some new clamps. These are 1/2" PEX clamps. The only tool that you'll really need is the crimper. You can pick it up at the same store. Pretty simple. So this is the reason why most technicians and most owners would say that this is the wrong type of plumbing to be used on an RV, and it's questionable at best. So if we were to take the fitting that was in there and we put it on there, like, this is not tight. There's no, like, the tubing is way too big for the size of these barbs. You should theoretically have pointed barbs like that, which is perfect for flexible tubing, and it grabs onto it and you can't even pull it off. The band would just go ahead and keep it from stretching out. But on this one, these are not barbed crimps or ridges on there. And of course, when we put the ring on, we're really only going to be clamping on one of those ridges. So it's not an ideal situation. But don't worry, it gets worse. So while the inside diameter of the tubing is too wide for these, the outside is also too wide to comfortably slip on this stainless steel band. So this is the solution that I came up with. Maybe it's not the best, maybe it's a little bit hacked, but it's worked for me. So what we really need to do is oversize this crimp ring a little bit, and we're going to oversize it like if we were a jeweler or a refrigeration tech. Now I don't happen to have either one of those tapered rods that look something like this that will just step up for different size rings, but the base of extensions do have a flared end on them, and you can expand it a little bit. There's not a lot of room to expand to. We're not going to be doing much more than deforming this bend a little bit and stretching out the inside a little bit. Now there's not going to be a huge difference, and there's not much more than brute force that we're doing on. So here's a brand new crimp ring, and this is just going to be a 11mm socket. You can see I can barely get it on the top of that. Now here is a crimp ring that I've already stretched out. Not only does it fit back there, but it'll fit way past the flared end too. I don't know if you can see that. So all you have to do is kind of get the ring started a little bit. We're going to tap it down with a hammer, and we can get a bigger socket. Now we stretched out just a little bit more. Fits underneath there. Now I can go ahead and remove this carefully without damaging it. I know I shouldn't have to do any of this. This just means it's the wrong equipment being used for the wrong purpose. It doesn't seem like there's a big difference, but there is a big difference between a non-expanded one and an expanded one. And if it was just that easy, we would be done. But there's one more step we have to do. Even though we've oversized it and flared it out or opened it up a little bit, it's still not going to fit on there easily. Now we have to treat this more like a hydraulic seal. We're going to use some pretty long tapered needle nose, put the ring on there. We're going to grab the tubing. We're going to kind of like twist it until it folds on itself, which will make a little bit of a taper. Okay, now we've gotten it on there. You can use the same needle nose. Now we aren't trying to damage the tubing at all. Okay, that's why we're using some nice untextured needle nose. And now we got that crimp ring on there, that band is on there. Now we can put our fitting on right here, and using our crimpers, it's now on there. It's a lot of extra work to do because the factory decided that using the wrong tubing was easier than using the proper tubing. We do that one more time. Alright, now with that done, the rest of the job is going to be really simple. This faucet has a much more simple installation to it. We just have this long nut that'll connect the threaded rod and put pressure on this plate underneath the cabinet. I won't need a basin wrench for that. Now this does have a lift rod for a stopper on the sink, but there is no stopper on this sink. So this is going to be pretty straightforward, and you'll notice we changed from the bronze fixture to a nice chrome one that's always going to look good. Looks good with the stainless steel sink anyways. I'm just going to get that plate. And we got the nut. Alright, I'm just going to make sure that we're looking good, centered on the sink there. And then this one's just a 7/16 ratcheting wrench, which I'll just be using to tighten up that nut. Now this is solid surface material, so we don't want to crack it or break it. So that should be good enough. Next part is the easiest part. We got our 20-inch long, 1/2 inch by 3/8 flex hose. Now these 3/8 nuts are 9/16. And I'll just hold the valve tight. Okay, I'll do the, because I have my basin wrench here anyways, might as well use that to tighten it up. Now we just got to do the cold water. I don't remember if I said that was 9/16, but this is a 5/8. I'm going to go ahead and turn the valves off now. So that'll be 90 degrees perpendicular. Now we can go outside and turn the water on. Water back on. Don't forget the water pressure regulator. Gotta turn off our low point drains. Okay, I'm going to come down here and make sure we don't have any water leaks coming from our crimp fittings, which we don't. Now we can turn that water shut off on, that water shut off on, and now hopefully we have water flow. Let's see. Ah, that's hot. Ooh, that's cold. It's pretty sharp too. Well, I think we successfully upgraded the bathroom faucet from Grand Design's beautiful, if not cheap, faucet to a timeless faucet that should last at least 20 years, if not longer. Wish I could understand why the manufacturers make the choices they do make. I would have thought this was a pretty substantial faucet. It is all metal, but that pinhole tells a different story. And you saw the duct tape rip the finish off just as easily too. We added some functionality to this whole system also by putting some emergency shutoff valves down below the sink, just like a residential house would have. I just need to clean up my mess in here, put the cabinet back together, because yes, my big head did push that paneling out the side, so I'll have to fix that too. But it's not really my fault. Somebody put a residential toilet right here that doesn't give me a lot of working space. So secured. Get that panel put back together enough. Put everything back in here. So I think that was pretty simple. Showed how to change out a faucet to a residential size faucet or style faucet, even with this new plumbing, which is using flexible hoses, which probably shouldn't be used. It can be done. Try to show how that works. There are a lot of people out there that don't think that should be the plumbing that's used on these RVs. I don't know why the manufacturers have gone with it, especially when they use PEX in other locations. But I do know this toilet is still flushing without a problem. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you all understand how to repair that tubing by flaring out that band just a little bit, like resizing a wedding band or a ring, and folding over the tubing just a little bit so that we can get that ring on there, and then it's a lot easier to crimp it together. All right, put these aside. Stop. Just so awkward. I could have done this differently. Come on. I didn't try. Okay.